You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
It's time to spin round the rim. This is Desert Planet Discs. Star Wars music in a single file. Here are your hosts, Carl Bayless and Greg Robertson.
Hey, we don't serve their kind here.
Hot dang, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Desert Planet Discs. This is Greg here, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, my R2-D2 to my C-3PO, my salacious crumb to the Jabba the Hutt. Carl, how are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad, and how are you?
Very good, very good.
Down treating you in sunny Scotland.
It's not been particularly sunny today. We've had, this week's been very strange. I was getting ready to barbecue on Monday, and then it started snowing. So I abandoned that idea, and then sun came back out again. I was like, oh, I might go back to it again. It started hailstoning. So we've had every season you can imagine, you know, every minute it's changing. Hailstones, rain, snow, sunshine, clouds, yeah, sleet. We've had it all.
There we go.
How are things down south?
Yeah, slightly more confusing on the do I stay in, do I go out front, but skipping that aside, the weather's it was really nice over sort of Friday, Saturday, and then went really cold on Sunday. But obviously cold weather means more excuse to sit down in front of the TV and catch up on lots of lovely things such as Disney Plus.
Good old Disney Plus.
Yes.
You're obviously staying alert the whole time because that's the key thing for you down there.
Yes. I'm making sure that the virus can't sneak up from round a corner or something and tap me on the shoulder. So, staying alert at all times.
So we're safe up here. Jimmy Cranky's keeping us in for another 3 weeks at least, so we're safe. Just need to mention there, folks, kicking off the show this week, we had the Star Wars theme there played by the Lego Droid Orchestra by an artist called Beyond the Brick. Please go to YouTube. Look that up. It is an incredible achievement this guy's done. Beyond the Brick with those Lego droids you can build, playing the Star Wars theme. Please go check it out.
It is insane. If only for the sheer sort of engineering and everything that it must have taken to put it all together. It reminded me a little bit of, you seen some of the videos by a band called OK Go?
Yes.
And they did one where they're all in a car driving down a road, throwing like footballs at guitars or smacking bats off drums as they go past and stuff, and makes the song. And it was made me think of that when I first watched it. But it is, firstly, the guy must have either a sponsorship from Lego or very deep pockets to buy that much Lego.
His page is called Beyond the Brick, so I think
yeah. But yeah, it is, as you've heard, that is all performed by Lego R2-D2s and various droids playing, for want of a better term, the instruments. You've got to see it to understand it fully, but it is just sheer genius, and I take my hat off to anybody that can spend that much time and have the patience to do that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Patience! So, yeah, absolutely.
Patience, young Padawan.
I wouldn't have the patience to do it, and I wish I did. But that brings us on to the theme of this week's show. All the songs in the show this week have a theme around droids.
Look, sir, droids.
Last month we had The Mandalorian, and we've got lots and lots of new Mandalorian songs have come to our attention since. So there might be a follow-up on that down the line, but this month we've got droids. Do you have a favourite droid from the franchise?
A favourite droid? Probably K2SO.
Yes.
Partly because he's in Rogue One, which I absolutely love, and the sheer sort of honesty stroke lack of filter. I appreciate the lack of pretense.
There was a brilliant meeting in Tudjik in Chicago, speaking to him about, what's the film called? The horror movie he did, comedy horror movie. Tucker and Dale versus Evil, I think it's called.
Okay.
Fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I was talking to him about that, and obviously got a nice signed picture and things from him, but really nice guy. He's doing impressions of all his famous characters for like Kids in the Queue, King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph, and really nice guy. So yeah, good choice. I like K2SO, yeah.
Yes. And yourself?
It's a tough choice. There's, I'd probably have to stick with R2D2, I think. The original kind of sweetheart, saves the day in countless times. But it's tricky now because, like BB-8's fantastic, and yeah, K2SO and IG-11 in Mandalorian. There's so much choice out there. But yeah, I'll have to stick with R2D2, I think.
Cool. I did read a funny thing on the internet the other day. Somebody posted, like, my daughter turned around to me and said, if R2D2 has been sort of there since the beginning and seemingly hasn't had his memory wiped, why doesn't he just tell Luke that Darth Vader is his dad? Like, okay. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, I thought that was quite... After a couple of minutes, she just shrugged her shoulders and walked away. I was like, okay, I can see that.
Spoiler alert indeed. If you haven't seen that film, which is 40 years old almost to the day, we're getting there. We're almost 40 years
Indeed.
Then, yeah, you need some catching up to do. Come on, it's 40
Indeed.
years old.
Yes, and talking of spoilers and catching up... Yes, over the episode, we'll be discussing some of the stuff that's hit Disney Plus recently, including the finale of Season 7 of the Clone Wars and some of the Mandalorian gallery shows. So if you're planning to watch them and you haven't seen them yet, you might want to avert your sensitive ears while we go through those bits of discussion. But the music's all really good anyway.
Yeah.
So listen to the music.
Yeah. We'll start touching the music in a few minutes, but
yes.
Shall we kick into our first song for the show, sir?
Yes.
Well, I guess our second song. We've had our intro, but
yes, and this was another discovery of Greg's when we were coming up with the idea for the show. We found a wonderful band by the name of the Yavin 4, a sort of punky rock band. I think we've featured some of their music on one of the earlier shows.
Yeah, Death Star, I think it was on our first episode.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And this one is an ode to Greg's favourite droid, R2D2.
R2D2, 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 R2. Stop for me to save the day. This is my forte. Stormtroopers after us. Situation perilous. I think I see a terminal. Gonna get us out of trouble. Radio is panicking. Relax, let me do my thing. R2D2, 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 R2. Past couple generations of the Jedi elite. As a co-pilot, you came with me. Unlocking doors and passing the ship. Without him, we are under equipped.
This is madness.
C3PO. There's a droid on a rim who's fluent and patchy. He's a protocol droid, so his language is patchy. He tells the odds from 720 to 1. He goes by the name of 3PO. You know he's gone, 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 flapping like a mine on a pole. Yeah! You know he's gone, gone, gone. He's a golden god 3PO. When the droid starts to do it, it's as good as done. He can hold his own with a battle droid gun. He tells her the odds and never shuts up. Just open the door, you stupid luck. You know he's gone, 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 flapping like a mine on a pole. Yeah! You know he's gone, gone, gone. He's a golden god 3PO. Well, he tells a story about a space battle. He tells a story about hair frozen. He tells a story about slave Leia. He will some tale about Darth Vader. No, he's gone, 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 flapping like a mine on a pole. Yeah! You know he's gone, gone, gone. He's a golden god 3PO. Captain Solo! To suffer, it's a lot in life. My astromech companion caused me nothing but strife. When I have on all your back, it's gonna feel so good. Curse those rebels we're doomed. You know he's gone, 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 flapping like a mine on a pole. Yeah! You know he's gone, gone, gone. He's a golden god 3PO. You know he's gone, 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 golden god 3PO.
Double header there with a tribute to the ever-present droids throughout the Skywalker saga, C-3PO and R2-D2. R2-D2 by the Yavin 4, as we previously mentioned, who are available on Facebook, Bandcamp and everywhere else that you download music. So check them out. It's a really good band. Bit of a harder punky edge, as you will have heard. And then, of course, our very own Darth Elvis and the Imperials with C-3PO. Greg, tell us a bit about that particular track.
So this one is obviously our reworking parody of King Creole by Elvis, taken from the album for first time this was played live. You may remember as well, we've mentioned this before, it was on the old hashtag Cantina.
Oh, yes.
It was part of our hashtag Cantina celebration EP that we put out at the time. And obviously went onto the album, but I wanted to write a song about C-3PO, and King Creole seemed like the perfect fit. Yeah, and obviously you throw some references, some quotes in there back to the Holy Trinity. So yeah, it's one I always enjoyed playing live. I've done it as part of the Grey Star lockdown isolation things I've been doing up on YouTube recently. So one of my favourites in terms of my lyrics that I've written, I think.
Cool. Yeah, as you mentioned there, been putting up some videos recently on YouTube whilst you've been in lockdown at the Grey Star.
Yeah, it's splendid isolation in the Great Star. So yeah, putting down a few. I've got more to come, folks. So keep an eye out on.
Keep an eye out on the YouTube channel there. And of course, obviously, pandemic is currently affecting everybody around the world. We've seen some of our previous guests also feature or do online gigs or releasing new music whilst they're on lockdown. Din from F105, who was a guest way back, I think it was about the second or third episode.
It was episode 2.
It was episode 2, yes.
Attack of the Tunes.
Indeed. He's been doing some live gig broadcasting and putting up some footage of some work in progress tracks that he's been, prior to lockdown, playing with some of his musician friends in over there in Canada. So again, if you hop on YouTube, F105 Music, and check him out and support his efforts online. And our next artist is another former guest of ours from the Christmas episode, Royish Good Looks, who has also been putting up some more tracks and a couple of playlists as well around May the 4th. So if you haven't already, go and check Royish out. Next up is a track of his, Ode to BB-8.
This is Royish Good Looks, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
And then we had Royish Good Looks, our pal from the December episode, with his track Ode to BB-8, which you can find on Spotify and YouTube. Check him out. Please subscribe to him on those channels. Follow his stuff because he's always releasing new music. Not just Star Wars related, but does a lot of Star Wars music. He's got a nice Star Wars Spotify playlist, so give it a listen.
Indeed.
So, we're in May. We've just passed May the 4th. What did you get up to on May the 4th, or round about the weekend of May the 4th?
Oh.
Exciting. Any new goodies? Did you order any new...
Did I order any new goodies? I did finally get round to ordering the Art of the Mandalorian book, magazine, special volume 1, as it's been lovingly titled, ready for the follow-ups. But my Art of the Rise of Skywalker book arrived. I managed to find a rather good deal on that online, so I picked that up for about 20 quid, I think. So that arrived, so I've been having a bit of a gander through that, which is very, very nice. And completes my set wonderfully. And then on the Sunday, our good chum Dave Tree ran his Farthest From convention as an all-day online session, which obviously you're aware of, as you were featured throughout the day.
I was indeed, yeah. A pleasure, an honour to be involved in Farthest From.
Yes.
Albeit from home in Grey Star, but what a fantastic day you put together. Really.
It was really good. I think some of the videos are still online, so if you didn't check them out on the day, then please go and check them out. The Facebook page is Farthest From Toy Show, I think.
I think that's
but if you type in Farthest From, you will find them. It was kind of split into 3 sort of chunks, which I think was basically down to limitations on the time limit you're allowed to stream on Facebook for. Yeah. But in the first section, there was a really cool guy, and I'm going to forget his name. I remember his first name was Andrew.
What is his Shepherd?
Okay.
I think it was Shepherd.
Yeah, who showed us around his collection.
A small part of his collection.
A small part of his collection. That
yeah.
makes it even worse. And this guy has got so much vintage, and this wasn't even toys, this is just vintage bedding, crisp packets, cheese packets, mail away leaflets, you name it. If they put Star Wars on it, he's probably got it. Original from the 70s. The guy's collection is absolute joy to behold. Or the chunk he showed us is an absolute joy to behold. And that was a good hour-long session.
Maybe more.
Yeah, it was really, really worth watching. So again, thank you to him. Thank you to Dave for doing that.
Fits in quite well with our theme this month was the second session where you had an interview with Anthony Daniels with our very own Mark Newbold from Fantha Tracks.
Indeed, which a lot of people have said is possibly one of the best interviews they've ever seen Anthony do.
It was really, really good.
It was very, very good.
Very open, and he wasn't plugging anything in particular. It was just being nice and chatting about his time on the saga.
Yeah. And I guess as well now the handcuffs are off, so to speak. He was a lot more open about the saga and 3PO's role over the years, and obviously can talk about things like the Rise of Skywalker, which while he was doing his book tour, obviously was in the run-up to the film being released, so he was having to be a little more guarded around what he said about Ep9. But that was really good. There was a quiz, and all this was interspersed with old TV ads.
Yeah, great Pal Toy adverts, and
lots of fairly UK centric in a lot of cases, but brilliant vintage ads from the 70s and 80s for the toys. Then there was the general knowledge Star Wars quiz, which I'm happy and proud to say was won by a Fantha tracker, our good friend Richard Hutchinson. And me and my daughter, we were sort of co-opting on this because she was really getting into the whole May the 4th weekend. We finished joint third, I believe.
Oh, fantastic.
So, pretty pleased with our showing there. And then the other massive piece of entertainment for the afternoon session, or the late afternoon session, was a scan digitization of a VHS from one of the original Empire cons.
1995, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was one of the first big Star Wars centric conventions held in the UK, and even just the opening ceremony kind of thing, you got almost like a reenactment of the Vader and the Stormtroopers boarding the Tantive 4. Yes, complete with onstage special effects, costume guys, and the whole thing harked back. It was in a time when you didn't have the 501st and the Rebel Legion attending events and things like that regularly. Star Wars costuming wasn't that much of a thing at the time, so to see costumed actors on stage, almost reenacting sequences, if you did something like that at a celebration now, people would lose their minds.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really, really fantastic to go back to something that is, 25 years old now?
25 years old, yeah. Thank you. Feeling old, you can see the grey in our beard.
Yes. And you will be able to tell it was 25 years ago if you see pictures of Dave Tree now, and you see in the film, you see a young Dave Tree.
Complete with curtains.
Yes, complete.
And I don't mean Star Wars curtains.
Yes, it's the indie hairstyles of the day. So
my haircut at the time.
Yeah, so that was brilliant, and then that was followed up later on with another Droids themed interview, again by Mark Newbold, of Brian Herring.
BB-8 himself.
BB-8 himself,
and then some. He's done so much in the new movies.
Yeah, and
you name it.
I was lucky enough to go to a talk held in a town not far from where I live at the end of last year that Brian was a guest at, and it's just one of these sort of general arts, and they get people in doing talks and music gigs and all sorts of things. As like a week-long festival in the town, and I saw that Brian Herring was appearing, so I went down, and absolutely lovely. The presentation he did on the afternoon was a bit more interactive than obviously an interview, but he got footage from behind the scenes on the films and showing the Hepabor, the big pig creature from Force Awakens, showing you the working model that they created, that they showed to JJ and Kathleen Kennedy, of just them with this is how we would operate it with 4 people in there, and it was just absolutely amazing. So again, another really, really good interview, but it didn't just focus on his experience of working on the films. He's also a really big toy collector.
Yeah.
So you'd got that, because obviously Farthest From is a vintage toy show, and then we had another quiz later on, which was a vintage toy quiz. I did eminently worse on that.
I was working on it and had some issues in my laptop. I seemed to get kicked out in one of the questions, and I was like, oh, well, I'm out now. I can't really get back in, keep up. So I just watched from the background.
Yes. But no, so that was a really good day.
That was fantastic. I mean, there was a lot of things, I guess, happening around that time, being May 4th, and it's become a bit more of a bigger deal now. But included in that was some fantastic television on Disney Plus, including the release of Rise of Skywalker in the UK on Disney Plus, Mandalorian Gallery, episode 1, but as we're recording this, episode 2's since been shown, and obviously the finale of Clone Wars.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Wow. I mean, I love Dave Filoni. I've always loved Dave Filoni. I've had the luck of meeting Dave Filoni 3 or 4 times now at celebrations, and he's just such a warm guy when you meet him. And I've been a fan of Clone Wars and Rebels and everything he's touched. And I mean, the first episode of The Mandalorian show, the episodes he's directed of The Mandalorian are fantastic. Rebels is all fantastic. But when he said he was going to come back and he wanted to finish it off properly, my God, did he do a fantastic job.
Oh, yes.
That 4-episode arc with Ahsoka at the end there was just, oh my God. Goosebumps constantly. Maul was fantastic. I mean, Sam Witwer and Ray Park back in mocap for that one. Wow.
Yeah.
Just knocking it. He just killed it. The final scenes in that, some of the shots were like breathtaking, Yeah. It's better than some of the most breathtaking things you see in movies. And this is like an animated TV show, It's just unbelievable. Whilst on the Filoni kick, him on the gallery.
Yes.
Episode 2, the end of episode 2 of that. My God, I was like, jaw was on the floor again.
Yeah.
Yes. I love you, Dave Filoni.
Yeah. If anybody out there doesn't appreciate how much Dave Filoni gets or just lives, breathes everything Star Wars, watch the last 5-10 minutes of episode 2 of The Gallery, which I think is called Legacy.
Legacy, yeah.
He just explains, kind of almost downloads to the other directors, and Jon Favreau kind of just does this massive download of, this is what you're supposed to do with Star Wars, this is how it works, this is what George told me, I have lived around George for so long, I have absorbed all this information and this love and comprehension of why Star Wars works when it works, and this is what you need to embody whenever you're doing a Star Wars project. And I've spoken to people who've watched it who have said, you know, it almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It is, it's not a rant, it's just a guy talking passionately about something that he clearly, having spent so much time with George, has just absorbed from him. And yeah, I know George has his knockers. Everybody who puts art of any kind out there, you know, people are going to fall either side of the fence. You you love it, you hate it, you're somewhere in the middle. But Dave Filoni just comes across in that he's just so absorbed in the whole world that this is why people say, if you're to have a Kevin Feige style character for the Star Wars universe, it has to be Dave.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And moreover, he now needs to be bringing in somebody as his little sort of Padawan.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah. Yeah. I'll go over. It's okay.
Dave Filoni's so money, and he doesn't know it. He's just so money, he doesn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. He just needs. It would be a shame for him to have taken so much on from George, and for that to be where it stops. So for me, not only does he need to be that central figure, he almost needs to be sort of succession planning as well, as you would call it in business, and looking ahead to the time when he needs to be giving somebody the same opportunities and the same insight that George was giving him to bring that next generation on. So we do get that continuity of people who really get what Star Wars is about. Yeah. And if he doesn't get a film anytime soon, then there is something completely wrong with the world.
Has to. I mean, Mandalorian season 2, I think is he down for directing one episode of it, I think. I suspect, surely, if some of the recent announcements, again, spoiler alert, some of the characters that have been mentioned recently of appearing, Ahsoka, with potentially Rosario Dawson playing her. Oh, yeah. Boba Fett with Tamora Morrison coming back, play son as well as obviously Daddy back in the day. I imagine if Ahsoka is popping up, and maybe Captain Rex or something like that is popping up in season 2 of Mandalorian, it has to be Dave Filoni in charge of that episode.
Yeah,
directing it.
You would think so. You would think so.
And he needs to do movies. He's absolutely right. He's he's got the chops. He's the man. Love you, Dave.
Love you, Dave.
Filoni and Tree.
Yes.
What did you think then of the Clone Wars finale? Let's go back to that.
Clone Wars finale is, when you consider, I don't know what the budget was for season 7. I know it's been long understood that when it was under George's wing, that money was no object, and they just threw money at it to make it the best it could possibly be. I would guess they haven't had so much of a free rein under Disney to do that. But, I mean, the whole of season 7 has been good in terms of the character development and the way they've moved up to and through the events that were going on simultaneously, especially in the final arc, throughout sort of Revenge of the Sith. I thought that in itself was clever, in that you got little audio cues and callbacks and force visions, whatever you want to call them, of people hearing voices and it's dialogue from Revenge of the Sith, or recounting events. Master Obi-Wan's gone off to find General Grievous on Utapau, and
Utapau.
Yeah, all those sort of things. To weave an animated show into that fabric and do it so seamlessly, but as we've said, with that understanding and that love, as I think as you said, some of the framing of the shots was beyond just a throwaway cartoon series.
Yeah.
It was truly epic. I mean, for me, taking some of the final scenes as read, even some of the bits where you got like scanning along one of the Republic cruisers as the centerpiece opens so the shuttles can come out and stuff. It was just like the way that was done. You were just like, beautifully framed.
Yeah.
And just stunning.
I can see several of shots of that on my wall. Framed up on my wall. Just come on, Tops, print them. I want them on the wall.
Yeah, I have seen several people who've recently received the very, very lovely looking limited edition package of Art of Star Wars Rebels.
Yes, I need to order that. It's so good.
Yeah, the limited pack, which comes like in a black folder type thing, and actually has like light up lightsabers on the front. Looks stunning. But again, it's that whole framing and the music. I mean, Dave Tree and I were having a conversation the other day online about the music. Kevin Kiner has been long respected for doing the orchestral music for Clone Wars over the years, but that final arc, you'd got some real sort of almost Blade Runner-esque synthy type stuff going on, which really fit the mood.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was just beautiful.
Beautifully done.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
You know, it always brings a tear to your eye knowing that it's no more, but to go out in such a fine way was just, that made my May the 4th, getting up early and watching that and going,
yes.
Oh my word, just...
Yeah.
Everything else that rest of that day was just, it's gravy, you know? It's all good stuff, but, you know, my word, Clone Wars. So good. So hats off, Dave Filoni. And
hats off. Hats off. And of course, one of the other things that we did on May the 4th, or we saw on May the 4th, was our good friend and fellow Fantha, Andy Lyth, drummer, puppeteer, philanthropist, along with the rest of his bandmates in Blues Harvest, release possibly one of the most inspired covers this side of Bespin, featuring the talents of Mike Quinn, aka Nine Numb, in a wonderful cover of Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. So that aired for the first time on May the 4th and was absolutely brilliant. As another band that have been doing loads of stuff, as we said, during lockdown, Blues Harvest, they've been doing stuff with some of the tracks that Brian May from Queen's been putting out there. They've been putting band renditions of things around it, but this just took it another level.
It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I mean, having the pleasure of playing with these guys on stage before, the musicianship, they're just so tight, and to be able to pull that off when not one of them live in the same house together.
Yeah.
You know, it's all done over a Zoom or whatever, and obviously Mike joining via Zoom. Fantastic, just fantastic.
Yeah.
What a guy, Mike Quinn. Never heard him sing before, but he did a damn fine job of that song.
Yeah, I mean, Pink Floyd is not the sort of thing you tackle lightly.
No.
And both band and Mike vocally, they knocked it out of the park. So again, check it out. We will be featuring the song on an upcoming episode of Desert Planet Discs. But in the meantime, go and check it out, support them. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I think that brings us nicely on to the gentleman we're talking about from Blues Harvest.
Indeed.
Andy, fellow Fantha tracker, some time ago recorded this next song. It's called Trouble Again, and it's the theme song from the classic 80s TV show Droids.
Stepping softly in a danger zone.
useless brain designed by man got me in trouble again. Trouble again. I put my life in jeopardy in the service of my friends. I wouldn't care, but it's a dangerous affair. Got me in trouble again. Trouble again. In trouble, in trouble, in trouble. Babu, 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 free. Babu, 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 free. Babu, 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 free. Fixing on the droids. Babu, 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 free. Babu, 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 free. Babu, 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 free. Fixing on the droids.
Well, they say droids will take your job. Baba Frick says I think not. Rise up now when I seize the means. Who you think's gonna fix the machines?
Babu, 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 Frick.
That's right.
Babu, 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 Frick.
Your buddy Babu,
babu, babu, Frick.
is fixing all the droids.
Fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fixing on the droids. Fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fixing on the droids.
The fascists are everywhere you go. Babu Frick's got his toolbox open. He's fixing droids and he's ready, okay, to punch those Nazis in the face.
Fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fixing all the droids. Fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fixing all the droids. Fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fricky babu, fricky, fricky babu, fixing all the droids. Babu, 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 frick, babu, 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 frick, babu, 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 frick, fixing all the droids.
Hello, I Babu Freak.
So, another doubleheader there. We mentioned our friend Andy Lyth with the Droids theme song Trouble Again, and a relatively recent discovery for us from Spotify, the Song a Day channel, and their wonderful ode to everybody's new favourite droidsmith, Babu Freak.
Song a day, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that and was just, this is really, really, really cool groove. And immediately messaged Greg and went, I found another song for the Droids episode.
Because Babu Frick, although he's not a droid, he is a droid smith.
Smith, indeed. And if we didn't have droids, we wouldn't have seen him in The Rise of Skywalker, so there we go.
It's like Babu Frick from the planet Kijimi.
Yes.
It's a wonderful planet. I've been there. It's a lovely, lovely planet. Hope to visit again someday.
Except it got blown up.
It did get blown up, so yes, I will visit it again one day, but it was a lovely visit whilst I was there.
Yeah, hope to visit again someday to pick up an asteroid. To match my Alderaan asteroid.
Yeah, indeed.
Alderoid. So,
as opposed to hemodroids. Oh! You can tell my dad, I'm telling dad jokes now.
So that nearly brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you again for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, we've recently released a couple of interview episodes, the first of which was with drummer Emily Dolan Davis, and more recently Greg and I got all fanboy and googly-eyed with Toby Jepson of Wayward Sons and one of our formative years' favourite bands, the Little Angels, where we talked to both of them about their careers in music and their love of Star Wars. So if you haven't already, please do check those out. They're really fun interviews. We had immense fun doing them.
Absolutely.
And there will be more to come.
Yes, lots more in the pipeline in terms of future shows and interview specials. Got lots coming up, so yeah, stay tuned, keep an eye out, and make sure you're checking out the channels.
Yeah, and all the other brilliant podcasts. There's Making Tracks have been putting out lots of podcasts during this lockdown period. It's almost as if Mark's got nothing else to do. Bless him. When he's not interviewing the stars, he's recording podcasts. He's recording podcasts.
Fantha from Down Under.
Fantha from Down Under. Yeah, Adam's been giving us their slant on the whole world of Star Wars and the world of lockdown. The Planet Leia Girls are recording their next episode shortly. And Cannon Fodder made a very welcome return recently, which was a really, really good fun listen. They've expanded the team to incorporate Mark Mulcaster, who is also co-host on Making Tracks, and it was a really good episode. Brian, Matt, and the two Marks covering all things published in the world of Star Wars, including the aforementioned Art of the Rise of Skywalker. Do check that out. It's a really good return, and long may it remain with us. Absolutely. And there is also, I believe, another mystery podcast due to hit the internet airwaves in the not too distant future.
You heard it here first.
Yes, so keep your ears posted for that. I will say no more.
I'll find out some more off air, hopefully.
Yes, indeed. That brings us to our final track, which obviously rounding out our Droids themed episode, we have the wonderful Galactic Empire, who, if you're not aware of them, are a techno rock, math rock, prog metal, call them what you will, would probably refuse to be pigeonholed, but a US band that specialise in metal renditions of John Williams's superb Star Wars themes. This is Droid Invasion and the appearance of Darth Maul.
Hi, I'm Toby Jetson, and you're listening to Desert Planet Discs.
Thanks for listening to Desert Planet Discs. If you want to stay part of the action and up to date on all the latest Star Wars news, check out the Fantha Tracks app via the App Store on your mobile device.
You can contact us via email at radio@fanthatracks.com. Comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fantha Tracks, and be sure to subscribe. Leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice.
Don't forget to head to fanthatracks.com/radio, home of Fantha Tracks Radio, and follow us on our social media feeds at Fantha Tracks, and bookmark fanthatracks.com for all the latest in Star Wars news.
I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Making Tracks.